Episode 3 of this series really showcases why strong visual directing is so important and why when anime gets it right, it really adds to a scene 110% more. This week's episode, I have to say, I was stunned by how gorgeous this anime looked, especially because a good chunk of it was done in black and white grayscale, just something that should be very dull and boring to look at, but came across so beautifully. Starting this week's episode off, focusing this was a backstory episode for our doctor who saved our main character's life, giving him prosthetic limbs, and we've seen him off and on over the past couple of episodes, but seeing where his life took him and why he is just this lonely wanderer, saving random souls, putting prosthetics on the dead, what his purpose in life is. These are why backstories are so important. Even if it doesn't directly connect to the main character that you're following, if a character is going to be relevant, showcase why his life is this way, because he's a very interesting character from the minute we first see him. Why would someone care so much about the dead when no one else does in this war-driven world? First few minutes of this episode are gorgeous. The lighting, you're seeing sunsets, everything about the visuals from the lighting to the just color usage is absolutely jaw-droppingly gorgeous, yet he's surrounded by so much death and carnage because he's fighting alongside the Lord, who is an absolute evil bastard. Seeing what they're doing, tying people up on cross-like manners, like, there's nothing beautiful about what they're doing, but it's so beautiful with the world around them. And I think the directing choice of making this first little part of his past full of color and full of life, and then once he's outside of the battlefield, everything around him is so black and white, dark and gloomy, showcasing that he's lost his sense of color as if he can't find the beauty in the world because of what he's done. Even the casual viewer who might be watching this show, even if they don't connect the two, why parts of this was in color and why it wasn't, they're still going to recognize that these are two separate pieces in his past and these are different time periods without the need of a narrator or some text on screen coming on and telling you that this is a different year and this is a different part of his past. But if you do connect the two, you're seeing how strong of a visual choice that was, showcasing the first part of his life full of color and full of beauty, even though it's surrounded by so much darkness and carnage, then showcasing his life after the war. He's essentially trying to at least find peace so when he does die, he can think, at least I did some good for the world. But he's surrounded by so much gloomy atmosphere. That's the type of visual directing I'm always thirsting for in an anime season, and this season has been killing it with multiple series, but Dororo is just, it's beautiful. The fact that they can make so many scenes where we're focusing on a majority of this episode, like 18 minutes of it, is just black and white grayscale, but I love how they're still able to use lighting and how they're able to do these facial expressions and just showcase this man who's essentially is just trying his damnedest to figure out, is there a way for him to have a will to survive, similar to our main character. It's absolutely incredible, and I love seeing this backstory play out, especially when you see the apprentice learn exactly what his master did, because he's looking at this man as like the saint. He's literally doing so much good, he doesn't want payment, he just wants to help people who have lost their limbs. And then learning that essentially he was on the battlefield that killed his father. I love seeing the rage, because you can see like this is a man who should kill this guy. Like, he's seeing, like, I should kill him because of what he's done, because essentially everything that I've lost from my limbs to my family is because of him and what he fought in. But I like the idea of this isn't a man who's afraid of death, he's more afraid of, like, let me at least fulfill my promise. Like, you're really getting inside this character's head who's had very little dialogue up till now, but I think it's probably going to be a lot of people's most anticipated character, if not their favorite character, because he's so intriguing of a man who's wandering this world, adding prosthetic limbs to the dead, what led him to that path, and seeing just how good of a heart he truly has, and it feels like he was just put into a war that he didn't want to be in after seeing what he had to do. It's quite interesting seeing how his past kind of took him on this direction and how he ultimately ended up finding this baby as he was ready to give up and he thought he had a second chance, and as he raised this kid who essentially lost everything, he's feeling like he failed once again, because all this kid can do is kill until he sees him kill a demon and it regains his leg, which kind of puts the two together if someone had to have made a deal with the demons. And I have to say, when you see his leg regrow, like we've seen him gain his sense of pain and we've seen him gain parts of his face, but to see a leg grow in such a quick yet disgusting but almost tasteful and artistic manner was quite interesting because it's so unnatural, and I love seeing the doctor's face as he's watching this like this can't happen, there's no way. And that's exactly how the viewer's feeling as well. I love seeing the detail of how this guy is regaining his humanity piece by piece, but probably also losing a piece of himself along the way because he's experiencing feelings in areas that he's never had to deal with. So it's interesting seeing how a guy like him can actually respond to it and seeing how he has a leg and even just the goodbye scene at the end when he's clearly like touching the man's face, being like, I can tell this is a good person, and the hug and the tears, like there's a lot of really interesting and beautiful moments in this series surrounded by so much death and carnage. I absolutely love it. And even if you're not a huge fan of the show for whatever reason, you can't deny the monster designs are absolutely fantastic. A lot of them definitely feel grounded to reality, as like they're just animals in our own world, just made a bit more monstrous, and then some are just completely out there. I love seeing the detail how even when we see 10 different monster designs in this world, these demons, they never quite function and look the same. They all have their own individual behaviors and instincts, and I like that type of detail, even if they are just going to be there for a minute. I'm glad the anime staff are taking their time to give them unique movesets, just movements individually, because they do think and act individually. They're not just a copy and paste of the same one we fought last time. I absolutely love this series because not only is the visual directing top notch, they really go in making sure the color usage, the visual directing, how they're cutting away to different shots, the close-ups on body language, you're getting inside these characters' head without the need for dialogue. This is what mediums such as anime can do. When you have a manga and things like that, you gotta have a lot more dialogue, maybe internal thoughts, because you don't have movements, you don't have voice acting, you don't have all these little areas that can naturally come across and express these feelings unless you state to the reader, this is what the character's thinking or feeling. But with anime, you can do subtle things like how their shoulders move or slump over, how they express their voices. All these little moments can really build you into understanding how a character is thinking without that much need for dialogue. But then when you add the dialogue in and see how characters are responding, especially a doctor who recognizes that this kid can't hear him or understand what he's saying, but he obviously trusts him enough to follow through. I love that type of stuff. I love seeing these characters build up. Of course, we got an amazing main character who's so intriguing because he's slowly regaining his humanity, but you're seeing these characters like a priest or a doctor who just want to know more about them. You want to see why they are here, what's the point of them, and how relevant are they truly going to be. And finally understanding what happened to this doctor, who has been one of the most intriguing characters up till now, because why would someone truly care that much about placing body parts on the dead that no one's going to mourn? And then you're seeing, well, he's just trying to find something to do because he's done so much evil in his own life that he can't forgive himself. That's exactly what we want to see, and it also ties into our main character and how he was ultimately saved as a baby, which was nice. And something I quite like is how they're presenting the Lord's family, because you have this true-born son, someone who wasn't deformed, and you have the mother. And I like how they're really directing it as if they want the viewer to hate this kid, but up till now, this kid's really done nothing wrong. Essentially, his father's the reason why our main character got thrown away, and this kid is just trying to have a normal family life, even if his father is an absolute clown. It's interesting how they're directing him to build up to maybe a horrible lifestyle when he is an adult, but right now, it's really, you can't blame the kid for who his parents are and what ultimately happened, and I like that, because I know there's gonna come a point where we're probably gonna be like, man, his brother's an absolute asshole, but it's more because of how he's raised, and I'm going to be interested to see the direction they're going to take that relationship, and ultimately, what body parts our main character is going to get next. Will it be a voice box? Will it be eyes? Like, what's going to happen? I'm very excited, and I like how he now has this sense of pain, which is going to be a major kind of penalty for him, because up till now, he could get stabbed by demons, and he wouldn't fear, because he doesn't fear because he can't feel it, but now, he can feel pain, and that's going to be a major weakness, but also an intriguing building block for this series, because now, fights are going to become a lot more interesting and a lot more potentially dangerous because of this sense of pain. Amazing episode 3. I think out of the 3 episodes, this would be my favorite. I love the visual directing. I love learning more about the Doctor, who's probably my favorite character right now. I absolutely love his backstory. Let me know whatever you thought of episode 3 of Dororo down in the comment section below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Your favorite moment? Whatever you're feeling, let me know. And be sure to like the video if you did enjoy, and also hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.